Here we are. I'll bet you didn't think this would ever happen again. This is part 4000 for the old Starduster. It's fully assembled. You see it sticking out over there. So I have it sitting here because I was ready to install it. The only thing I didn't like was I misplaced the up inside there, the coax connector. I misplaced the nut and the washer. And yeah, I know that doesn't matter a lot, but I think they were a little heavier duty than the stuff that mounts the radio. So, oh well. So here it is. I lucked out and I found this piece in a box. And so I just bolted that on. These screws are, you know, they're just sheet metal screws off the old RV. This one, I didn't have the factory insulators for this, so this is 5/8 PEX. It's for doing your, you know, your fresh water in your house, your RV, whatever. It's bigger overall than the original, but I have 1/2 inch and it didn't work. It was going to be too small. This is 3/8 of an inch here, so it wouldn't be much structure left after I drilled. No, this is 1/2 inch. This is 1/2 inch. There wouldn't be much structure left after I drilled a 1/2 inch hole through here. Actually used an end mill. So these three pieces here are off a television antenna a neighbor gave me quite some time ago, and this was the rearmost element, the longest one. Turns out the wall thickness is a lot thicker than the rest of them. The thing is sturdy, very sturdy. It's a tiny bit smaller in diameter, maybe a 32nd of an inch than stock, but it's okay. It's nice and sturdy, and I don't know, I think it'll work fine. This is the same length as the originals because I have a new in the box 70's Starduster, so I took measurements off the tubing, 15 1/4 inches, which you can find on the data sheet that comes with them. So I made it, you know, basically the stock dimensions, and I think this stuff might handle UV. I don't know how long. You could use probably PVC tubing, but that's what I had, so that's what I used. So for now this one, you can see the writing on here. This is a solid piece. The other ones are tube. They're hollow because this one was lost. So this is solid. I counterbored it here. Come on, cameraman, keep up. I counterbored it here, so this piece would go in. It goes in pretty far, and keeps the same length as stock. And then threaded this. You can see all this in other videos. It's threaded right here. It just doesn't have a hex on it, so I had to use vice grips. See, the originals either had dimples to hold the hex in, or it had roll pins. So it depends on the era, the age of the actual antenna. So this is the antenna that I had up when I lived in Denver in the 70s. So now it's all finished. It just needs to be installed. The install portion has a little trick to it. You have to shove the coax through the tube, screw it on, and then shove the tube in there, and then there's 3 set screws. If you're using mast, if you need threaded pipe, then you probably don't have to set the set screws, although you probably want to so it doesn't unscrew itself. But anyway, this is just a refresher. Here's the tuning hat, the capacitance hat, and these are 1/4 inch diameter. The originals were 3/16. It's all the material I had, so I had to thread them, crank them on there, and boom. So it should tune about the same, I'm hoping. Most of those screws that are hanging out like this, I have trimmed them off. I just haven't cut these yet. So this bad boy's all ready to go. So let's get this done. Alright, the ground radial detail I wanted to show Here is the here's the fence line going way down there. I don't know, I forget how far that is, 50 feet. And I think the ground radials, each one's supposed to be like one wavelength, so 11 meters-ish. So what I can do is, I'm not going to assume that the fence is a good ground radial, so I'll put one, I'll use the same thing, stainless steel clamp, tie one there and run it down that direction, and then, you know, tie it into the ground somehow, maybe just a little nail or something. And this one here, going this direction, goes to the house. That's 40 feet. So what's 11 meters? 33 feet? So it should make it. The tractor's not usually parked here, so I won't have to drive across it very often anyway. But I'll make it so I can pull it out of the way if I need to. And then the other direction, let's see, direction number 3 is up. Okay, so there's the post, and then it goes up across these plants. That rise is probably a couple of feet, so it's not dead flat, but it's also not the end of the world. And then going this way from the post, there's just room galore, probably to that plant there, maybe. I think they call it a greasewood or greaseweed or some dang thing. Anyway, I've got a bunch of stainless hose clamps, and I could probably use one toward the base to grab onto those things. Like I said, it's basically galvanized wire. It's heavier duty than this stuff, and it's twisted pear, so it's way heavier, but it's what I have. I don't have any copper, and as far as RF goes, I think it's going to be conductive just fine. So anyway, that's the detail I kind of wanted to express here. When I get some time, it's not really hard to unroll it and put this install all this. That way I'll have not a lightning ground, but at least I'll have an RF ground, and that'll be okay until I get the ground rod situation figured out and see where. I'll start over here somewhere, see if I can find a spot where the 2-foot rebar that I sharpened years ago, if it goes in, then I'll use that as a pilot hole and then ground all this, and then we should be good for both things, because we've got lightning around here that's pretty treacherous. Alright, that's it. See you, bye. Alright, sorry for the wind. There's the Starduster fully installed. I was going to do a few details. You can see that black climbing rope. That's all I've got. I've got nothing else to tie the thing up with. That's just for windage, because the piece of mast that goes into the Starduster is aluminum, and the joint bends a little. So I tied that on. Keeps it more or less vertical. Yes, it's jerry-rigged. It'll get unjerry-rigged, but not for right now. Okay, so here's the fence. Corner fence post. Somebody put it in the ground a long ways because it's really stiff. Clamped it onto the mast, same at the bottom, and put a notch in the pipe so the coax doesn't get a big slice in it. This other thing with the string hanging off, it'll be harder to see, is the 11 meter horizontal that I got off of eBay for 17 bucks. That at least got me on the air locally to one guy. And then I put this up yesterday, and I've gotten Idaho, Southern California, and San Francisco Bay Area all on skip lately. It's so awesome. I tried pounding, where's my ground rod? I don't know if you can see it. The ground rod's got a nice bow in it because I used the tractor bucket to try and pound it in, plus sledgehammer, plus. And I couldn't get it in. There's too much rock. And I was putting it in about right here. So I'm going to try and I have some rebar. See that chunk of rebar laying there? The tip is super sharp. I did that many years ago for the sandy desert at Burning Man. And use that as a pilot rod, if you will. That's 1/2-inch rebar. Maybe try outside the fence further away. The reason I thought of that is because where that climbing rope is anchored, I pounded that right in. It's at a slight angle, but it went right in. So there must be a huge rock here, which obviously we have lots of huge rocks here. So I will try to get this thing grounded for lightning's sake. The house has been struck once, and the phone system's been struck once, so lightning around here is a deal. Didn't know it was, but it is. So now that I have a lightning rod up 30-something feet in the air, I need to do something about this. So anyway, we'll get it grounded. The other thing some of the guys on the Facebook group, CB radio group, suggested was using what do you call it, ground plane wires. So I can clamp, use a hose clamp like that, clamp some wire I have. It's actually almost the exact same wire as that chain link fence is made out of, and run it out in several directions and stake it so it doesn't move, and hopefully that'll give me a good RF ground, and that should help my distancing, my DXing as well. Anyway, so yeah, it took over 3 years for me to get it fixed. I'm not real happy about that, but I'm damn happy it works, because now all of a sudden I'm shooting skip all over the place. So anyway, it's working, it's holding up, hasn't blown down yet. We have some pretty good wind out here, and I'll try and do my best to get this thing finished off. I don't know that I'll do any more videos on it, because I've done however many 12-part series on the Starduster. God, that's kind of ridiculous. But that's just how it worked out. So anyway, that's it. 73's, everybody. See you, bye.